Welcome in. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Boys and girls, the New York Jets lost Corey Davis to retirement just last week, so it left fans thinking we need a little more help at the wide receiver position. And now that we've got a little bit more money in the arsenal, we got about $20 million in salary cap space. Could the Jets go out and make a move for a star wide receiver? And then this little bit of a rumor drops from Pro Football Focus and Darnell Mooney possibly being on the move. This coming from Brad Spielberger, says it would come as a major surprise if the Bears entertained the idea of actually moving on from Darnell Mooney, but it would be less surprising if Mooney was a bit frustrated with the lack of progress in extension conversations to this point in the offseason and was open to a change of scenery. Mooney went from being a number one receiving option in 2022 to sharing targets with DJ Moore and Chase Claypool, and Chicago has a Chicago was a distant dead last in pass attempts, completions, and yards last season. While a figure to take a massive leap forward, perhaps Mooney wants more volume in a pivotal contract year. So obviously, the Bears bring in two wide receivers just last year to try and help out their young quarterback in Justin Fields. And this kind of leaves, Darnell Mooney maybe a little bit more up in the air. He's in a contract year. He's going to want to make some big money. And is it going to actually happen in Chicago, or is he going to want a change of scenery? So let's go into it. I want to talk a little bit about the contract that he has currently, the stats that he's had over the course of his career so far. I want to go over to the little bits of the why and the Jets and when this could all potentially shake out here. So what you got to know: Darnell Mooney, 26 years old. He's actually 25. He'll be 26 soon. I don't know what the actual date is. But he's 5'11", 175 pounds. He was a fifth-round pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. If he's traded right now, his contract for his new team would be 1 year, $3 million. Obviously, in a contract year, he's looking to get an extension. So whether that extension happens during a trade or shortly thereafter a trade, he's looking for more money in the not-so-distant future. As far as his stats go, in 2021, he had 87 touches for over 1,000 yards and had 5 touchdowns. Last year, he was on pace for a whole lot. I think he had 60 targets, but he had 40 touches, 493 yards, and 2 touchdowns, so definitely a step down in production. He suffered a broken ankle, if you remember. I believe this was week 11 of the NFL season against the New York Jets. So season got cut short. They bring in DJ Moore. They have Chase Claypool on the team now. So clearly, they're possibly looking to maybe move on from Darnell Mooney. Now, as far as where he has played on the field itself, he has taken a lot of snaps, both in the slot and out wide. The last 2 years, pretty much a dead 50-50 split between being out wide and being in the slot. So I think having him as a chess piece that you can move all around the formation, not just be like pigeonholed into the slot or pigeonholed out wide like, some other wide receivers may wind up being. This is actually really nice to see. Now, as far as his valuation, over the cap projects him, probably in the $10 to $15 million a year range. Last year, he had 8 of his 11 weeks prior to the injury. He was over or about $10 million per their valuation. And that's, I guess, when compared to like the other players at their positions or the other wide receivers at their positions and how players graded out and whatnot. So that's kind of where they get that number from. As far as the why, the Bears traded for Chase Claypool and DJ Moore. They gave up a lot. I mean, Chase Claypool wound up being the first overall pick in the second round. They didn't know that when they gave it up, but that's what that wound up costing them. And then obviously getting DJ Moore in the trade back from number 1 was a huge move from Carolina. So they're going to obviously use him a whole lot. And again, in a contract year for Darnell Mooney. Now, as far as when could this happen, I believe this is probably more of a trade deadline situation than it is like a right now situation. Obviously, rosters have to get cut down to 53-man. So maybe there's a chance that the Bears want to try and keep someone else on their active 53-man roster, and they're not planning to go any further with Darnell Mooney. But if I were the Bears, I would like to surround Justin Fields with as many weapons as possible, because you are going to have to decide on his 5th-year option after this season. And if you have a $3 million stud wide receiver, why on earth would you move him at this particular point in time? Now, I do see the value in terms of getting something for him at some point, but I think the Bears want to utilize their weapons around Justin Fields at least to start the season. And then the Jets, on our side of things, I think the Jets really like Mecole Hardman, and I think they want to give him an opportunity. We signed him for like a 1-year, $6 million deal, so there's no money beyond this season necessarily. But I think the Jets are going to want to give him a little bit more of a tryout here. Now, I would say there's a different level of player when you're talking about Mooney. Mooney's a little bit more sure-handed. He's a little bit more, has been healthier over the course of the last few years. But I think the Jets want to see Hardman before they try to make any type of move. So I think this is more of a trade deadline situation than anything else. Not to mention, Mooney's coming off a broken ankle. That's a serious injury for a wide receiver. So if I'm a Jet fan, I kind of want to make sure the guy that I'm trading for and giving a big extension to is at least going to be healthy and playing to a similar level that he played prior to the injury. And obviously with him making the jump over from the Bears to possibly the Jets, maybe the stats wind up getting elevated as well. Now, as far as what would this cost, contract demand wise, you're probably looking in the $13 to $17 million a year range. Hunter Renfrow last year, or was it 2 years ago, signed a 2-year, $31.7 million deal. Cortland Sutton midseason last year got 4 years, $60 million. So you're sitting somewhere around that $15 million a year range. So I think that's probably where Mooney and his agent are probably thinking he's going to end up being. I'm projecting this price because of how low his contract currently is and where I think the Jets are going to ultimately end up picking. I think it's going to cost you about a second-round pick. If it winds up costing you less than that, green light. Let's go. Let's go get the dude. As far as like the money side of things goes, look, the Jets got $20 million in salary cap space right now. When you wind up signing a dude to an extension, you could shift more money into this year and then kind of play with the numbers a little bit more, I think. Look, Aaron Rodgers went against this dude for the last 4 years, or three years really, while Mooney was in Chicago. I think at the very least he has a good understanding of some of these NFC North guys. We already brought in Dalvin Cook. I could see Aaron Rodgers saying, "Hey, look, that kid Mooney over there, he's got some juice to him. I trust him. He's reliable, sure-handed. I mean, he can take the top off of a defense. He's just a very reliable dude." And I feel like he plays bigger than his 5'11" frame would necessarily indicate. So overall, if this wound up costing the Jets, let's say $15 million a year and, a second-round pick, provided that the Jets were able to see that he was healthy prior to making the trade, I'm good with this, especially if you're talking mid-season and all of a sudden, like maybe Hardman's hurt or Cobb's not holding up or God forbid something happens to either one of Lazard or Garrett Wilson. This at least kind of protects you in that sort of respect. So I'm all for it. I would make the move for Darnell Mooney. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Is Mooney to the Jets realistically an option? Do you think the Bears even want to move him? Do you think Mooney wants to come to New York? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets. Jets!